How's it going, SketchUppers? Uh, Welcome to the phone holder project. In this project, we're going to make the small holder that will hold your smartphone either vertically or horizontally to watch your YouTube videos. Um, Please follow along. Make sure to follow this step by step to minimize any problems with printing. If you need to pause the video, rewind the video, please do that. But we do need to make sure our dimensions are right so it can print and function for you. The first thing you need to do is to make sure we're in the right units of measure. So from a new SketchUp page, we're going to click on the folder, go new, and we are going to select the simple template for feet and inches. Then we will be set up so anything we draw will be in feet and inches. It's also important, I want to remind you to only draw the phone holder in this file. Don't draw anything else, otherwise we won't be able to print it. So only draw the phone holder in this field. Okay. We're going to start off by zooming in towards her feet, because in this SketchUp world, you got to remember this is a life-size person. So if we're drawing a small item, it's going to be small in comparison to her. So we're going to zoom in kind of towards her feet. And we're going to start off by selecting the rectangle tool in the top option. And I am going to click once to start my square. So I've clicked once to start it. I'm not going to click again. I am going to type in 1.5 quotation mark for inches, comma, 1.5 quotation mark for inches, and then enter. And it gives us a square there. Now the dimensions I was talking about were found down here in the lower right. So if I do that again, I undo, and you'll look down here in the lower right when I enter it, select my square tool, click once to start. Now if you look down in the lower right, it shows those numbers bouncing around. Again, I clicked once to start it, 1.5 inches, comma, 1.5 inches, then enter. So right there, 1.5, 1.5. So now if I grab my orbit tool, we have a 1.5 inch by inch and a half square. Now that we have that started, we can grab my selector tool. I'm going to click on our little friend here and make it go away. So now what I want to do is I want to zoom in so I can see our square. Now remember, you can use tools here. The orbit tool allows you to spin around. Hand tool kind of reaches and grabs, and then your two fingers together sliding in and out. Okay. So with this square, we want to give it some depth. So I'm going to grab my push-pull tool, select the top option, that's the box with the arrow coming out of it. Now I'm able to select the square, and I'm going to raise it up. Now again, in the lower square, you can see the distances. We want to go to 3/16 of an inch and click it. Okay. So now we are locked in with a rectangular prism that is 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches by 3/16. So if I orbit around, it looks like this. Okay. Now the next step, what we want to do is we want to start working on the pillar that comes up in the back, that's going to support the back of your phone. So to find the location of that, we need to do a little bit of extra lines to get it lined up. So we are going to use our offset tool to set up our lines. So underneath be the push-pull tool item here. The offset tool is the bottom one. What this is going to allow us to do is set up a square that's going to be offset whatever amount we choose to pick. Okay. As we did before, we can enter in our dimensions to make sure they're accurate. So I clicked that side to start this offset process. I am going to type in 0.25, 1/4 of an inch. So 0.25 inches and hit enter. And it'll give us a square that is 1/4 of an inch inside the outside square. Okay. From there, our next step is we're going to draw a line with our pencil tool. So we're going to draw a straight line. Now, the nice thing about SketchUp is if I drag my pencil along this top line, it's going to stop at the midpoint of that line. So I can click once there to start my line, and I'm going to work my way across, and it's going to go to the midpoint over here. So what we've done is we have set up a point right here that is in the middle of the square, but 1/4 of an inch from the edge. So now we're going to use this point as the center point for our post. So now I'm going to go grab my circle tool. So come over to your shapes. Circle tool is the third one down. Click on that, and I'm going to come over, and you can do it on either side. It doesn't matter. Okay, so I'm going to do it on this side. I'm going to click once right at that point. It snaps to it. And now I click once to start my circle, and I'm going to pull to a radius. We want to have a radius of 1/8 of an inch. So if you look down in the lower right, when you have a radius of 1/8 of an inch, you're going to hit enter. And you'll have your circle that's 1/8 of an inch. Okay. At this point, you can grab your cursor tool, and we can start deleting all of these extra lines that are inside that circle and down the middle. And you can also select your square. So that way the only thing that you have left is that circle that we just drew. At this point, we're going to add some height to that circle. So we're going to go grab our push-pull, which is over here. It'll probably still stay offset, but it's the tool with the box and the red arrow. We're going to highlight over the circle so the circle's highlighted. And now we're going to come up a measure of 1 3/4 inches. So 1.75 quotations, whoops, typo, 75. So now you'll have a platform with the post coming out of the back. Okay. The last thing we're going to do is add some text across the front of this. Now this can be your name, it can be a real short saying. I wouldn't make it any longer than a word or two. Otherwise you're going to run out of room and it's not going to print very clearly, so you won't be able to read what it says anyway. So I would limit it to maybe your name or 1 or 2 words, maybe a team name, Elkhorn Antlers, whatever you want to do, school appropriate, please. But what we are going to do is underneath our draw tool, so where we have circles and squares, on the bottom option is 3D text. On the 3D text, I'm going to click it, and a window's going to pop up. It's pretty easy to use. You're going to enter your text here. The fonts are pretty limited, so you're not going to have to spend too much time deciding on that. Height is going to be how tall the letter is, like from the bottom of the H to a top of an H. How tall the letters are. Text extrusion is how far it's going to come up off of your object, so the thickness of it. So we're going to start with the text. You can do lowercase, you can do all caps. Either one is fine. just to kind of give you some ideas of the text. There's permanent marker, open sans. I mean, you have a few options. So if I do permanent marker, I am going to start with a height of 0.25. So that'd be a 1/4 of an inch tall. Now it's not going to be a big deal if it doesn't fit because we can adjust the size once we have it on, but we'll start with a height of 0.25 and text extrusion. We are going to just start with 0.1. So it's just going to come off the bottom of the platform by a little bit. So we're going to click OK. Now it'll drag on. So what we want to do first is drag it on so it just says on face. That means it's going to be on the platform. Okay. Now it's going to take some time to adjust. So we're going to have two options that we can use. Mine actually fits pretty good. It's just upside down. But you're going to use the scale tool and the rotate tool for this. So the first one, I want to rotate this to get it so it's right side up. Underneath the move tool is a rotate tool. So I click on that and it brings up this protractor. Okay. I want to have it so it's blue because my antlers is written on the blue plane, which means that's the bottom edge. So all I have to do with my antlers highlighted, so they're written in blue, I'm going to click once, and now I'm going to drag out to the side. I'm going to click again. And what I want to do, and don't panic when it disappears on you, but I'm going to go 180 degrees and it's going to snap back to the red. I'm going to enter it. So now my antlers, even though it moved off of the platform, it's facing the right direction. So now with my move tool, I can select it and move it right back so it's on that bottom edge. Okay. Like I said, mine fits pretty good right there. It's right where we want it. Another thing you might want to make sure it does is it does go down into your drawing. That it actually sits on the base. So when it prints, it does print that. Now, if your sizing is off, what you can do is the scale tool. It's underneath the move tool again. It's this bottom selection. You need to highlight your word, select your scale tool, and it's going to come up with these green boxes. So now with those, rotate so you can see it a little bit better. You can grab the green boxes to make it bigger, make it smaller, make it taller. Now you don't want it very big. We just want it, like I said, about 1/8 of an inch or 0.1 inches tall, just enough to hold your phone in. But if you just need to squeeze it together, you can just grab that middle one on this side so it doesn't mess with the height, but it can squeeze it. Once you have your text in place, if you have questions on it, please raise your hand. I'll come help you. Maybe your neighbor knows what they're doing and has it figured out. But we do want to double check your text, make sure that's correct. Once you're done, this is your finished product. We will be ready to share. Please watch the next video for that. All right. Thank you. Good job.